So today is Saturday, September 16th, 2023. My voice today is a little bit strange, very thick, very deep, because there's some food lodged in my throat and it makes weird sound, but I really like it. I feel like I'm a voiceover actor, something like that, and I always wanted to have a deep voice and also a very nice voice. So this voice at the moment is very deep and very nice. By the way, I am Korean. I've never lived in America, so maybe my voice comes across very strange to you, but this is what I am. I am trying to read this article to practice English by reading it aloud. And also, I'll just try to pick up some new words and expressions. I was suddenly interested in the expression called buyer's remorse. I've never heard the expression consciously. Probably I came across that word, encountered that word before, but it didn't register with me at all. So basically, I didn't know what that means, what that expression means. So let's dive in and find out what is buyer's remorse. I hope I keep this voice, but within several days, my voice will get back to normal. But I'm just normal Korean. But I am looking for a job in English-speaking country, especially the U.S. I have extensive knowledge, experience in the telecommunications industry because I work for Korea Telecom, KT, number one carrier in Korea. And also I am very competent in English. And also I have a license in tour guide for foreigners visiting Korea. And also outbound tourism. What that means is that I can guide Korean tourists in a foreign country, especially the English-speaking country. So I could contribute in that area too. And above all, as with my friend Chung Hwa, I am interested in the machinery import and export, and also any source of import and export, especially the ginseng and some other heavy machinery. Ginseng in Korea is quite famous. But all those shed aside, let's find out what a buyer's remorse is. This article is from Bankrate. I've never read this article. I just pulled this off from the internet. What is buyer's remorse for home buyers and how can I avoid it? July 31st, 2023. It's a 6-minute read, but since I'm going to read a little bit slower than a normal American reader, probably it will be like a 20-minute read. Written by Ruben Kajinerp and edited by Michelle Petrie. The Bank Rate Promise. At Bankrate, we strive to help you make smarter financial decisions while we adhere to strict editorial integrity. This post may contain references to products from our partners. Here's an explanation for how we make money. After a lot of saving and a lot of stress, you've just bought your first house. You are thrilled, thinking to yourself, finally, I can stop throwing money away in rent. I actually own a home. Then the reality of home ownership sets. You start to notice the wear and tear around the place, the things that need to be fixed. Yeah, here, the wear and tear. I sometimes highlight the word or expression that I would like to remember. The things that need to be fixed and how expensive that's going to be. You wonder how you are going to maintain the property and pay all your bills in addition to your monthly mortgage payments. The next thing you know, you are thinking, what was I thinking? This is what it's like to have buyer's remorse as a home buyer. Key takeaways. Buyer's remorse is a feeling of regret and anxiety after making a purchase. Regret. Home buyers, it means they regret buying a house. For phone buyers from KT, it means they regret buying a phone from us. So buyer's remorse, you cannot return your phone to us. People might feel home buyer's remorse if they come to believe they overpaid or dislike the location once they move in, for example. To avoid buyer's remorse, it can help to get pre-approved for a mortgage, work with a knowledgeable local agent, and include contingencies or exigencies in your contract. So that's the answer. So that's the bank rate's answer to home buyer's remorse. To avoid buyer's remorse, it can help to get pre-approved for a mortgage. Yeah, if you are not approved for a mortgage, then probably the neighborhood is riddled with crime. Work with a knowledgeable local agent. Yeah, you cannot go out on you can go out on limb without any partner, and include contingencies in your contract. They gotta be favorable clauses in the contract in case you want to exit the contract. Buyer's remorse data and statistics. In Bankrate's recent financial regret survey, 3% of Americans said that buying more home than they could afford was their top financial regret. Of that number, only 1% of baby boomers aged 59 to 77 said that they felt it was their biggest financial regret, while the rate was 3% for Gen X, aged 43 to 58, and 5% for millennials, aged 27 to 42, and so I am Gen X, and 3% for Gen Z, aged 18 to 26. So my first daughter is Gen Z, and I am Gen X. My older brothers, they are all baby boomers then. 2022 Hippo report. Why Hippo report, not cow report? 47% of respondents said unexpected issues left them regretting their decision to make a home purchase. In Bankrate's April 2023 home ownership survey, 12% of Americans surveyed regretted not getting a better mortgage rate on their home. The same survey reveals that 41% of respondents regretted buying a home that had more hidden costs than expected. A 2022 Clever Real Estate survey of homeowners found that more than half, 60%, have experienced buyer's remorse over their housing purchases. What is buyer's remorse? Buyer's remorse is a feeling of regret and anxiety after making a purchase. Also known as buyer's regret or buyer's disappointment, it stems from the feeling that purchase decision was the wrong one. So buyer's remorse, buyer's regret, and buyer's disappointment, either because it was an outright mistake or because there's a better option out there. Buyer's remorse can result from any sort of purchase, but it usually occurs after significant commitment, like buying a house or a car, not buying a pencil or buying a cookie from the, I don't know, Ditan in Chinese, or from the street vendor in English. Home buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is common among house buyers, especially first timers. First timers, let's remember that, man. First timers. First timers. After all, a home is typically the biggest ticket item that most people ever purchase. The biggest ticket item. The biggest ticket item. The biggest ticket item. There's a hyphen over there. Biggest ticket item most people ever purchase. Biggest ticket item. It involves not only a lot of money, but a big change in their lives. And it's going to have consequences for a long time too. What causes buyer's remorse? Buyer's remorse occurs for any number of reasons. If you are feeling it was a new homeowner, if you are feeling it as a new homeowner, it could be because you are thinking one or more of these things. Yes, in Avatar course, in the consciousness development course, this is called secondary thought. Primary thought was to purchase the house, but upon the purchasing the house, you begin to have second thoughts, regrets, disappointments, doubts, pains. You pay too much for the home. Money is probably the most common regret. It often hits a homeowner at or right before the closing when they see laid out in black and white in a single statement all the closing costs they have to cover, plus the ongoing expenses like mortgage payments and property taxes they are now obligated to pay. They are obligated to pay. In the U.S. Army, they use a lot of words such as obligation, mandatory, right? They are obligated to pay. Everything, when they see laid out, that's good expression, laid out in black and white in a single statement, laid out in clearly in written statement, same thing. Laid out in black and white in a single statement. Now my voice is becoming more softer. Or maybe you got caught up in bidding war and in the flush of victory didn't fully understand how far over budget you'd done, how far over budget you'd gone. That's another good expression. How far over budget you'd gone. How far over budget you'd gone. In the flush of victory. In the flush of victory. In the process of victory. In the good vibe time of victory. In the flush of victory. In the flush of victory. Maybe you got caught up in a bidding war. You didn't buy the home you really wanted. It's rare that a house ticks every item on your checklist with no compromises. Still, if you bought a home that's too big or too small or doesn't have most of the features you wanted, buyer's remorse can set in. It often compounds if you jumped at the first place you saw, were under pressure to find a place or bid because you were just sick of looking. You didn't buy the home you really wanted. It often compounds if you jumped at the first place you saw, were under pressure to find a place or bid because you are just sick of looking. You are just sick of looking. That's another good expression. Because you are just sick of looking. Because you are just sick sick, sick of looking. You are just sick of looking. You don't like the neighborhood location. You didn't notice it until you moved in, but the area lacks certain amenities, or is noisy at night, or has more traffic than you realized, making commuting to work or other places harder and more time consuming. You find the maintenance too much. This one often hits a homeowner if there are things that were not disclosed by the seller, are not as expected, or that break down shortly after the move. Whether it's sudden repairs or ongoing chores, the upkeep just overwhelms you. The upkeep just overwhelms you. Or how far over budget you've gone. All your income seems to be going into the home, making you feel house poor. House poor, right? Making you feel house poor. You miss your old home. Sometimes the source of your remorse has nothing to do with the new house, but nostalgia for your old neighborhood or lifestyle. You miss your old home. You find the maintenance too much. The upkeep really overwhelms you. The upkeep, right? You don't like the neighborhood or location, noisy at night, more traffic than you realized, making commuting to work or other places harder and more time consuming. Legal options if you are experiencing buyer's remorse. Coping with buyer's remorse can be complicated when it's over a home, not just because of the sum involved, but because of the lack of recourse. Legal recourse. FTC cooling off period. The Federal Trade Commission has a law known as the cooling off rule, which gives a person 3 days to cancel a sale or back out of the purchase. Cancel a sale, that's another good expression. 3 days, they are given 3 days to cancel a sale or back out of purchase. Cancel a sale or back out of purchase, as long as they request it within 3 days of signing a contract. No hidden agendas, no conditions, just as long as they request it within 3 days of signing a contract. Some states also have their own version of this cooling off rule. Unfortunately for home buyers, the FTC rule does not include real estate transactions. It's possible that a state law might allow you to get out of the purchase agreement within the first 3 days, but you might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so, and no rule will automatically apply after closing on a home. After closing on a home. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. That's another good expression, forfeit. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. Other legal options. As a homeowner, you may have a claim against the seller if you can prove that the seller knew about a pre-existing problem and deliberately failed to disclose it. Deliberately failed to disclose it. The value of the claim will usually equal the cost of repairing the defect, according to the Wagner, Falconer, and Judd law firm, which has offices in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Montana. Interesting. Tips for avoiding home buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse is a natural part of the home buying process because such a big investment is involved. But there are ways you can manage your expectations to limit feelings of regret. 1. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. Besides being an important part of making an offer on a home, going through the pre-approval process before you start home hunting can help avoid financial questions by giving you a hard number that a lender is willing to loan you. You can base your home buying budget on that pre-approved loan amount, but resist the urge to spend the full amount just because you can. 2. Slow down your search. The biggest mistake new buyers make is rushing the purchase process. It can be tough nowadays with a lack of inventory, making available homes more scarce. But homes are staying on the market longer now than they did at the height of the pandemic real estate frenzy. So take your time and don't be afraid to ask questions. As they say, buy in haste and you are more likely to repent in leisure. That's another good cliche. Buy in haste and you are more likely to repent in leisure. Lack of inventory. 3. Work with a real estate agent. A knowledgeable local real estate agent can be your best friend on your home buying journey, both in finding a house and avoiding buyer's remorse. Agents are licensed experts who understand what's available in the area that meets your criteria and budget. And they can let you know if you are making a rash or a costly decision that you might regret making a rash or a costly decision. Let's remember that expression. Making a rash or a costly decision. On the flip side, on the other side, right? On the lower side, on the bright side. On the flip side, remember too that agents don't get paid unless you buy. So don't let an agent push you to purchase against your better instincts. Against your better instincts, that's another good expression, man. Against your better instincts. 4. Get a home inspection. A professional home inspector performs an in-person evaluation of a home's condition. The findings can help you avoid pricey surprises. If repairs are needed, you can budget for them to ask the seller to help cover the cost. If you have an inspection contingency in your contract, major problems can even be an excuse to back out of the deal. Back out of the deal. Avoid pricey surprises. Home inspector, in-person evaluations. Back out of the deal. 5. Negotiate your contract carefully. Make sure your real estate agent or attorney includes contingency clauses in your contract. These can allow you to cancel the purchase if certain circumstances are not met. Be sure you understand exactly what fixtures come with a home as well, and identify each item that you want specifically. Any costs you'd like the seller to cover should be spelled out in the contract too, in black and white, laid out in black and white, spelled out in the contract, spelled out in contract, or laid out in black and white. Since I have some butterfly in my throat, I have this weird voice and also coughing involuntarily. I apologize. Somehow I feel like I'm a real American. Final word on buyer's remorse. It's okay to experience some level of buyer's remorse when you are buying a home. After all, it might be the single biggest purchase of your lifetime, and you are taking on a huge amount of responsibility. So secondary thoughts, they say second thoughts are natural, really. But if you plan carefully and enlist the right help, your home buyer's remorse can be no more than a fleeting regret. Very short-lived regret. A fleeting regret. Written by Ruben Kajanelp, associate writer, home lending. Ruben Kajanelp is an associate writer on Bankrate's home lending team, a graduate of Fordham University. That's a nice one. He began his professional career with Bankrate in January 2022, where he now covers the housing market, real estate, and mortgages. Edited by Michelle Petrie, Senior Editor, Home Lending. So Ruben Kajanelp sounds like Turkish in the background. I don't know. Michelle Petrie, she looks quite intelligent. So before I close, I would like to close this article. I would like to go over the expressions that I remembered. Home buyer's remorse, buyer's regret, buyer's disappointment, in-person evaluations, make a pricey, see a pricey surprises, make a rash, feverish, make a rash judgment, back out of the deal, hidden costs. There gotta be some clauses where you can just recourse, right? In-person evaluation, laid out in black and white. Another expression is written, highlighted, specifically mentioned in the contract. I forgot that word but let's see what else I remembered. Back out of the deal, neighbor, noisy, agent, 3-day mandatory, obligated to pay, how far over budget you'd gone, pre-approved amount, house poor. A lot of things going on. It's the biggest investment in your lifetime. Okay, So before I close on this article, you close on the house deal. Let me go over the article real quick. Try to remember the expressions and words and knowledge that I would like to remember one more time. Fixed bills, maintain the upkeep. The upkeep is so costly. Key takeaways. Avoid bias remorse. Bias remorse data. Financial regret survey. Hippo report, not cow report. Bias remorse, by definition, is a feeling of regret or anxiety after making a purchase. Bias remorse. First timers, yes, first timers. I missed that one. First timers. The biggest ticket item. First timers, the biggest ticket items. What causes home buyers remorse? I'm getting my voice back now. As you can see, my voice becomes more clear, thin, just like a normal Korean voice. Like mortgage payments and property taxes, caught up in a bidding war, in the flush of victory, caught up in a bidding war. How far over budget you'd gone? Too small, too big? Bid, place a bid. Lack certain amenities. Upkeep. The upkeep just overwhelms you. Legal options. Cooling off period. Cooling off rule. FTC cooling off rule. Real estate transactions. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. You might forfeit your earnest money deposit in doing so. The biggest ticket item. You deliberately fail to disclose it. Tips for avoid home buyers remorse. Pre-approved. Right, slow down your search, lack of inventory, buy in haste, and you are more likely to repent in which work with a real estate agent, licensed, get a home inspection, in-person evaluation, contingency clauses, spelled out. Yes, it should be spelled out in the contract. It should be laid out in black and white in the contract. Final word on home buyer's remorse. Enlist. The right help. Ruben Kajanel. This article was from bankrate.com, and thanks for listening, and have a wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, or night, depending where you are. It's almost 10 p.m. on Saturday here in Korea. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe and be my friends.